right now I'm remembering a conversation that arose in Mumbai some years ago in the presence of the great master Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. In a smaller setting in his home, he was having satsang in his home, and he was speaking, and somebody came forward and said, "Sir, I hear what you say, and I'm touched by your words. But if I am to be honest, I am always experiencing suffering." And the master responded immediately, and he said, "No, it is not so. You are not experiencing suffering. You are suffering, you're experiencing. You're not experiencing suffering because suffering is not a thing. It is more a way in which you experience." He says you are not experiencing suffering, you are suffering, you're experiencing. And in that twist of perspective, a great power was offered back to the questioner, that if I am suffering my experiencing, I have an option to change that. You see? And even with the physicality of pain, if it is not experienced personally, because the mind interprets pain in personal terms, and the pain feels exaggerated, it gets heightened, you see. In the mind of one who is centered in the heart, pain is also experienced, but it is not overwhelming, you see. So these two things must be kept in mind. Pain will come, because this body is pleasure and pain body. It will come. But the one whose mind is merged in the heart will not be so afraid of pain, and will even use the pain as an opportunity to go more deeply into the recognition of the self. They will not merely complain. Complain, increase pain. You see? Being personal also exaggerate and amplify the pain. But in the stillness of one's being, it is also allowed to be an expression that happened and is perceived, but it is not cling to. You don't cling to it. And somehow, even in situations like that, you may find that a remedy or a way comes to transform that pain. It comes more out of your silence than out of your noise. It should be the attitude, it could be the attitude of everyone. Because while we are alive, we witness also so many passing of friends. Everybody knows somebody, at least at some distant place or near, who has been close, who has crossed over. And death itself in the physical form is not as big as it is experienced, you see, in the mind or the psyche of a human being, because the human being is that aspect of consciousness that believes it is a time-bound entity. And so if it feels like at some point I'm likely also to leave this body or to die, whichever way it is perceived, then it creates some anxiety inside, even though we may try to avoid thinking about it, you see. But the actuality of that death is often experienced like sleep. So it is not so much to worry about. But in life, to use your opportunity while your body is still warm, to find that which is imperishable, and it is in you, it is your own true self, and to awaken consciously, to recognize your unity and oneness with that. For this reason, for this opportunity, these satsangs are taking place. That is the pure intention and purpose this opportunity and invitation in satsang is for those who don't feel that they have time to waste on other things. Sometimes sickness, help us to focus our attention and even really to appreciate the life more. But for others, it really focuses their attention on finding that which is imperishable. So I hope you are one of these people who you've tried many things, but everything has the stamp of time on them. Time says, all that you see, all that you think or imagine, your very self as an identity, all this belongs to me. I consume everything. The only thing that time cannot consume is its own source as pure awareness. Then this is what you must find. It is there all along. Awareness is not hiding. In fact, it is so obvious. But we are so one with it. It seems like, and the mind is searching for something, as it has in the past. It seems to be the instrument for interpreting and measuring change and variety. So it is always looking for something that it can compare and weigh and so on. But its own source it cannot see. You see? Let me give just a small example. I've given it before. Like a sharp instrument, like a knife, can cut many things, but it cannot cut itself. However sharp it is, it cannot cut itself because it is one thing. To cut must be two. Or your eyes can see so many shapes and colors and forms and textures and all these things. It can see, but they cannot see themselves. Or a scale can weigh so many things, so many objects, but it cannot weigh itself because it is one unit. If the only way would be to take a scale and put it on another scale, then you can weigh something. You see? Yourself is same thing. You are just one. You cannot see yourself phenomenally. You see? Because if you could see yourself phenomenally, then who are you, the one who is seeing? So just keep this in mind. Because the mind wants to search for something. I found it. It will not be it. You see? If the mind really finds the self, in that moment, it's not mind anymore. It disappears and only the self remains. You see? Now, there's no need to be afraid of this because you're discovering of yourself. There's no pain. You will actually see, it got rid of the pain. It does not bring pain. But in the mind we feel, but my life is worth something. Let me salvage the good bits. Keep the good bits and see if we can carry it over. But this is from mind. In fact, there's some truth in that because whatever you have done or achieved in some way, if you come to understand that it is consciousness that has done that and not really the person is a myth, it doesn't really exist. It's like a ghost. Then you'll understand there's no fear because if your life has gone a certain way, whatever beauty has arisen for you, it will also be there because it is consciousness that has prepared the ground of your life for higher things, and you will see. So your question, I've had enough,
Yes.
not just enough of the body, but bodily attachment, bodily identity. This is the trouble, not merely body. How to change this now then? Well, I'll show you. As I said, everything that you can see or perceive It is just an appearance in you. Everything has come, so many things have come, but nothing has come and stayed. Everything come and go. Everything comes and goes. And it is witnessed in you that they come and go. They appear and disappear. They rise, they fall. Like this. You must be clear about this. Everything, even the things you think, no, this is stable because you have confined it to memory. Even this you cannot keep. Because one day you may say, my memory is not as good as it used to be. I can't remember names anymore. I'm not able to retain the things I used to be able to. And you will see that memory cannot contain you. It can hold on to certain ideas you may have about who you are, but memory cannot contain you, because you are the one who looks and says, my memory is getting weaker. So you cannot be trapped in the bubble of memory. Memory does not work for itself. It is something that looks and retrieves from memory or reconstitutes from memory. So all that you see, all that appears and disappears, and you are the witness of its appearing and its disappearing. Whether it is an idea or a sensation or imagination or any information, they come and go. You who witness them, witness their coming and their going. Therefore, they cannot be you. Because if you were the things you see, when they disappeared, you would also disappear. And you are here to witness their disappearance. This is simple common sense, isn't it? So that which is observing, consider your whole life and all the things that you have felt to be true or constitute the sense of your identity. All of that were shaped by belief, by attachment, by desire, by appearances and disappearances, and by the ability of consciousness to perceive them and to say yes or no to them, or to determine their reality or unreality. All this as reported to the consciousness that you are. Every single thing. And it is so immediately. Just like if you're talking now, you are aware you are talking. There's awareness you are talking. There's awareness that you're listening. There's awareness that you're standing there. That awareness is apart from the thing that appears in it. It is stable. Do we follow or not?
Yes.
Very good. So, this is the beauty of consciousness. I am not going to give you work to do, but simply to observe. So, body and senses and pain, they're also effects appearing and arising in the field of the conscious self. You're aware of them.
Yes.
If another sense arises, also immediately it can only appear in your awareness. So that is also detected, you see? And even you may say, okay, now the pain is lessened. So something is registering, observing the quality and intensity of pain. That itself is not pain. It is only, what you may say, monitoring the pain. By will you can do. What I want you to do now is to recognize that you have already admitted, actually, that these things, they come and go. They cannot be you. So therefore, don't identify or form conclusions about anything that simply appears and disappears. Only observe. Okay? But put attention on that which is observing. That is more important than the thing observed, is the power to observe. Stay there, stay here. You see? Still perceiving is taking place spontaneously, and there is even the perceiving of the functioning of perception. You know you are perceiving.
Yes.
You know at this moment you are conscious. And that knowing of consciousness belongs to what? First, the fact. The fact is that you are perceiving, or that there's a functioning of perception, and that there's awareness of that functioning. Please stay with this, because if you catch this here, you don't have to catch it later. You know that you're perceiving. You know the senses. If the smell of curry comes, you will not mistake it for lavender. Without doing anything, without even intention, that function happens spontaneously. This is the marvelousness of consciousness. It is not being steered or manipulated. Spontaneously, it is perceiving without any effort. If a cow passes and it goes, you'll know that it's not a bird. Without, you have to go, what was that? Something knows without moving and without even becoming deeply interested. This filter, this power to perceive, is inherent in consciousness. It's happening by itself. Who are you in all of this? Where is your place? If some experience happened, you are already also aware that you're taking it personally or not personally. Immediately you know, I am attached to that idea or it's insignificant. Spontaneously you know. You don't have to do any spiritual gymnastics to know that. Why? Because none of this is essentially or fundamentally yourself, the perceiving core. You are that perceiving core. What does it look like? You have a sense what your body looks like, what your person looks like. You have a sense of your person or personality. You can write an autobiography. Who is it that you're writing about? You can tear it up and say, no, it's not quite true. What knows it's not true? So all these things only became a problem because we identified with them and gave them somehow the certificate of truth. But if you only perceive, so leave the senses open to function within their capacity and according to their own laws, no trouble. Let them perceive. There's no sin in perceiving. But when you start to say, this belongs to me, you see, then you create a change within yourself and also within the form you are choosing. And it appears to join the kingdom of your identity. And later now you're suffering it. I don't need all this stuff. Now it has become too much. We have been collecting so much information. We are trying to be so many things. And none of it is essentially what you are. What knows this? The same one. So therefore, you can leave all these things aside and still you're present. Take everything out. We turn you upside down, shake you out. All concepts out, everything out. And still you're there. Everything you can remove. And when the last thing falls, you're there. Before it falls, you're here. During the collection, you're here. When it all goes, you're here. What's the difference? The difference would be that you keep believing this is me, this is what I am. And that creates a density in the consciousness, a distortion, which will then in some way, it will molest your peace. So now, leave all of these things for a moment. Not cynically, but just isolate yourself from them for a moment. After this exercise, you can pick them back up again and say, okay, sorry Mooji, I need this one. And you can pick them up and you can put them back if you want. But just for this moment, just leave your attachment to them, the significance we give them. Leave everything aside. Just be empty of them. And some people will probably be experiencing this for the first time. That you have given yourself the space and the permission to simply be nothing, just for a moment. You are not a collection. You are not a collection. Everything, leave everything. Leave everything. Until there's nothing left to leave. Even the one who is throwing them out, leave this one also. Leave everything out. And don't be expecting something to happen for one moment. Don't wait for, okay, now what? So no next for a minute. You do it, see? Leave everything. And so there's no confusion. You're not combining yourself with anything at all. No ideas, no object, no past, no pride, no ego, no shape. For a moment, leave everything aside. Senses are still here, functioning, no trouble. Remember I said, no imagination is required. So you are not creating any idea about a self. Leave everything at all. And in this absolute emptiness, pay attention to what remains. Are you in a state of trauma?
No.
Is this a disappointing discovery?
No.
No. Is anything essentially lacking or missing?
No.
No. I'm not telling you to become anything at all. Just put down all this weight you've been carrying for a moment. Unburdened, you see. This is your true nature. This is your natural place. Nobody gives value to this. Because no one can exploit this. No one can be special here. No one is above or below. Yeah. And there's no need also. Because you are in a state of completeness and contentment. You are in your God self. But a force inside us wants to say something. It wants to come and say, yes, but how can I live like this? Or, I can't pay my rent like this. It might be nice for a holiday. It might be nice for a visit. So I know how to come back here when I want. Don't purchase any of these thoughts. They have never served you. They have never served you. Now you can begin to discover that life is. And that you are life, and at the same time, the weakness of life occurs to you. Put everything down and don't pick anything up. Stay like this. And you can tell me if you have downgraded